Well, hi y'all, this is Ginger with Ginger Snap Thrifting. Y'all, I have been on a tear to take care of some unfinished projects. Do y'all have some of those around? In quilting, we call them UFOs. But regardless of what you call them, I'm sure everybody, probably, maybe I'm the only one, has some things that are just kind of hanging around that you just haven't gotten to. So something just came over me and I decided I have got to get some of this stuff waded through, y'all. So I am going to give you a quick glimpse of how I handle these. My first thing is cutting off some pants for my husband. Now, have y'all ever done this? My husband said, oh, I can just cut them off. I'm like, that'll look all kinds of janky if you cut them off. Y'all know what I mean? You know, they might just take a knife or something and whack them off. I remember him cutting off a pair of jeans a long time ago. One leg was about 5 inches shorter than the other, and it was all raggedy. And I'm here to tell you, they were a little bit too short. They were way too short. So I've got these 2 pair of old Carhartt work pants. He did retire here a while back, and he doesn't need umpteen pair of work pants. And I'm going to cut these off into shorts. So these have got those side pockets, you know, those tool pockets. So I'm going to cut them off about 2 inches below this because I want room to have a rolled hem and to not have to stitch over all this bulk, because that's hard on your machine. So what I'm going to do is take me a tape measure, just a regular old tape measure. And you know, you can do it with a ruler, but I'm here to tell you a tape measure works better. So that comes to about 19 inches. I'm going to cut these at 21 inches. So what I'm going to do, just put me a Sharpie mark right there. Now, I know that a Sharpie's not going to bleed and make one hot mess. You see? It just leaves a little bit. I don't even know if you can see it. See it right there? Just makes a little bitty mark. And it's 21 inches. So then, over here on this side, you know, your pants aren't cut straight. They're cut at an angle here. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to measure from the waistband 21 inches. Just kind of straight down. If you don't get perfect, it's all right. He's going to be wearing these out in the yard, y'all. And if you cut them long enough, if you get a little off, it's all right. 21 inches. All right. Same thing over here. Well, wait, let me go ahead and do this. You take a ruler, straight edge of some kind. Now listen, if you think you can just eyeball this without drawing a line, go for it. I know I can't. I know I need a straight line to cut on. So, line this up. Draw me a line. Now, I'll get all the way over here. So, I'm just going to put my straight edge on this line. Make sure it's lined up all the way across here. Draw me a line. I'm going to turn this over. Now mark this across here. Now we're going to cut this off. And to start it, I'm just going to fold my pants over, my fabric over, put me a little snip in there. Just a little snip to get my scissors in. And then I'm just going to start cutting around one layer, not both layers, one layer. Being careful not to pick up an extra layer of fabric. So once you get one leg cut, you can use that as a template for your other leg. So just following on around. And it doesn't matter if a little bit of that mark shows, because I'm going to hem them. Now if you weren't going to hem them, if you were going to try and fray them, you might want to use some chalk or a disappearing pen that you get at the sewing or the quilting section. All right, one pant leg down. Now, your pant legs, you can use these for a lot of stuff. You can use them to patch a pair of pants. You can use them for rags. I mean, don't throw out stuff. It's got value. All right. Now, here's what we got. You see they're cut level. Got a little snip, a little hanger on there. They're cut level. Pull my pants up, lay them out smooth. They're cut good, right? All right. So, we're going to fold this as carefully as we can, and we're going to use it to cut the other side. So, pick them up like this. Let me close that zipper up. Pick them up like this, lay them out, lay them smooth. Pick them up and fold them in the center. Line up your waistband as good as you can. Now remember, these are work pants. They're made out of a really heavy quality fabric. They've been washed a bunch. They've been stained some. So it's not going to be perfect. So see, on this other side, I don't have a pocket, a tool pocket. So I'm just going to have to line these up the best I can. Okay? Now, make sure there aren't any pleats in there. And you see, my edges are kind of a lot the same. You see that? If they're not the same, you need to look at what you cut. You maybe cut something not quite right. So, I'm just going to cut right along that edge. And you really want a good pair of scissors for this. And if you're going to be sewing much, you want to not use your scissors on crazy stuff like paper and wire and floral and stuff like that. All right, one more pant leg cut off. All right. Now what we're going to do, now I could put this on the serger and serge it, or I could roll it. I'm going to roll it because most of you don't have a serger, and I'm going to have an issue with these seams probably. It's probably not going to want to go across there real good, so I'm going to have to finagle that. But I like to start on the inside seam. Now, if you have a great steam iron, you can maybe steam this down. Or you know what? I know I'm going to have a problem. I'd have to put a denim needle on this on my machine, and I think I'm out of denim needles. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to use a zigzag stitch. All right, now I am actually not going to use a straight zigzag stitch. Now, every sewing machine, almost every one, has a basic zigzag stitch. I'm not sure what this stitch is called. I think it might be called a stretch stitch or a sweater stitch. But as it zigzags, it makes little stitches. So let me just sew this on this black cloth so maybe you can see it. I've got my machine, my width set as wide as it'll go. All right, let's see. Looks like I need to work on my tension a little bit. But can you see how it makes little, it's a zigzag, but it also makes little stitches? So, what I need to do is adjust my tension and put a new needle on this. I'll be right back. All right, I'm going to just stitch as close as I can to this raw edge with this zigzag stitch. I take my time going over the seam. And what this will do is help keep this from fraying out. Well, okay, I've edge finished my pants. Now I need to pin them up and get ready to hem them. So you want to pin them to the inside, and you do want to use a ruler. So there's two ways of doing it. Some people like to pin like this. Like put the ruler under and pull the edge up like that. But I just find it just as easy to pin like this. It doesn't matter as long as you pin the same height, the same width all the way around. So we'll start that. If you put your pins in perpendicular to the way the fabric runs, you can stitch right up to it and pull it out. If you put them in this way, like this, you have to pull them out sooner. It's easier to run over your pin, and that just makes a mess. You don't want a mess. You want to make this easy. All right, so when you're over your seams, you want to make sure that you line your seams up. See? Line it up. You don't want it like that, because then it'll look janky, y'all. Janky. My husband hates that word janky. He says it's not a word. I tell him it is. It's in the Scrabble dictionary. It's janky. I don't know if it's in the Scrabble dictionary. I have not measured it. I have not looked it up there. But I have looked it up online, because he kept telling me it wasn't a word, and it is a word. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pin this up, and then I'll show you what they look like. Well, okay, I started pinning up my hem, and I ran into a little bit of a problem. And it's only because of the way these pants are cut. Because they're cut for work pants, they're wide in the seat, and then they taper in on the leg. They're not a skinny leg, but they taper in some. So, I start pinning it, everything looked good, except for this inside seam. See if I can show y'all the problem. Can you see? This edge is way narrower than this edge, even an inch up. And it's just because the leg tapers down. So what do you do about that? I mean, you know, you could put a little roll seam. It's like that on both sides of the seam. This is the inside seam. So this is what I did. I used my zigzag stitch. I zigzag up from the bottom edge to about 1/4 inch from where the fold was, over, all the way over, and then back down. And then I slit these. So what that did was it let it open up and give enough give to hem it. Now, let me show y'all that in real life. Try and get this around here so you can see it. So the other leg is the same way. In fact, I just showed y'all the other leg. So I'm going to come down about a 1/4 inch. Put me a little mark across there. Now I'm going to open this up. I'm going to lay it. Let me see if I can get this even closer so you can really see. There, hopefully y'all can see that really well. I'm going to put my pressure foot right against this flat felled seam that's already stitched in these pants. I'm going to get a real tight zigzag and a wide one. Sorry, I bumped the phone. I'm going to start right on the edge and I'm going to stitch. I'm going to stitch just a little bit past that mark. Now, I want to stop this needle on the left side of the pressure foot. Okay? Needle down, lift up the foot, turn the garment. Okay? Now, I'm going to stitch across to the other side of this seam. And I want to go this width. I want to go far enough on this side of the seam that I can get that pressure foot to sit right beside that seam. Okay. Okay, so I want my needle, again, all the way on the left of that slit, that slot, where the needle rides. Pick up the foot, needle down, turn it again. And now I'm going to stitch to the edge. All right. Take my garment off and clip my threads. I'll show you what I've got. I hope that y'all can, let me turn this around so I can see what y'all are seeing now. Can you see how that's stitched in there? Now I'm going to slit on the inside right against that seam all the way up, but not into the stitching because I don't want to break that stitching. On both sides of the seam, y'all. Okay. So this is what I've got. And now when I fold this, it's going to open up and it's going to lay flat. And because I finished off these edges, I'm not going to have a ravel issue. So I'm not even going to fold that. I'm not even going to pin this seam because I can just lay it down when I get to it. But I'm going to pin this. If I have to stretch it a little bit, I can stretch it a little bit, you know. Don't be afraid to tug on your fabric a little bit. And then the same way over here. And you see, it gives you the space you need to make that hem flat. And then I'm going to hem, I'm going to stitch right along the edge here with just a straight stitch, and that'll hold everything down. That'll hold this down better than if I just tried to stitch up here. So I'm going to lengthen my stitch, turn off my zigzag. And normally I would start right on the seam, but because I'm having to stretch this open, I'm going to start out here a little bit, and it'll be okay. It's not, don't look hanky or nothing. So I'm going to stitch up to the seam. And now I'm going to go slow over the seam, because if you try to run over these seams too fast, a lot of the time you will break your needle. And sometimes you got to pick up your pressure foot, and because it'll it'll catch on that slot in your foot. And I'm just helping it feed under there a little bit, and then there we go. And then we're just going to stitch all the way around. Well, okay. We are stitched all the way around. And this is how this looks on the inside. Now what I'm going to do is stitch higher up to catch that edge. And I like to stitch on the outside so I can see how it looks. So I'm going to go around on the outside, and I'm going to mark a scant inch. And I'm using a pencil, but you can use chalk or disappearing ink or whatever. I've got a disappearing ink thing here. I don't really like it, but that's better. And it says it is fine point disappearing ink, air and water soluble. Okay, so what that, I don't like it because I mark it and I come back to it the next day and it's done disappeared on me. But I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around this, and I'm not going to draw a line because I'm going to put my marks close enough that I think I can kind of stitch that. And but you know, if you need to draw a line, do that by all means. I'm putting my marks every 2 or 3 inches. Alrighty. Okay. Now because it's a hem, I want a big long stitch. They are finished, y'all. I did 2 pair of them. I do want to tell you, if you find the way I told you to cut off the legs too complicated, you can measure from the waist, the side seam, how long you want the pants, and add 2 inches to that. And then from that mark, the finished length plus 2 inches, measure down to the hem, and you can measure both legs on both sides from the hem up, if that makes sense. So instead of measuring down this way, you're going to measure up this way. On the outside and on the inside seam, lay them down real flat and draw a line and cut that off. Just always cut them a little longer than what you want them to be, because you can't put it back on, but you can sure trim a little bit more off. Well, y'all, I hope this gave you an idea of what to do when you need a pair of pants cut off. I'm going to be doing some more work out here in the craft cottage on some more clothing alterations. And so if you're interested in that, watch for my upcoming videos. Until our next video, let me just remind you to bloom where you're planted. Show a little love and kindness to those around you. When you bless others, God will bless you in return. And until we talk again, this is Ginger with Ginger Snap Thrifting.